What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Mother effing Bulls on the mic 1-2. You know the deal.
And guys, we're going to be continuing on with our division by division draft grades from the NFL 2023 draft. Exciting news. If you guys wanted to check out our AFC North, that is the first division that we covered. That'll be our most recent video before this one. Today, Jake and I, we're going to be covering the NFC North. So a lot to unpack here. Like we kind of talked about last week or on the last episode, actually, we kind of mentioned, draft grades don't really mean anything. It's more of a projection where these players are projected to be, kind of how analysts have used statistics to kind of measure out where these players are going to succeed in the NFL. So this is more of a subjective opinion, what Jake and I are grading these players on, what we've seen from tape, what we've watched with their college team, where we project them to perform at the NFL level from the collegiate level. So going to be covering the NFC North. We're going to go alphabetical order. So Jake, do you have anything to add before we get going?
No, I'm ready to get into it. Like yesterday, or not. Well, I guess it was yesterday, but kind of with the other divisions, there was a couple of drafts that I was like, oh, maybe they could have done a little bit better. But I actually, after watching some tape and diving in a little bit more into, I liked their drafts, and kind of vice versa with one of the teams here. I thought everyone was giving. Well, actually, the first team we covered, the Bears, or we're gonna cover. Everyone was giving them a pretty good draft, and I thought they did okay. But we can get into it.
All right, let's do it, guys. Before we do, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our Instagram at Cannonballs with a Z_podcast. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the Chicago Bears. Their first round pick, they picked number 10 overall, and I think that they got a really good tackle. They went Darnell Wright out of Tennessee, and he has flexibility to play either the left or the right tackle. And he's a dog. I love him. Darnell Wright was my number one tackle in this class, or my second tackle, excuse me. Paris Johnson was first. Darnell Wright was my second. And Darnell Wright, his resume is pretty good. I mean, he's in the SEC. He's been going up against, elite competition throughout his entire time at Tennessee. And, this most recent year, he went up against Will Anderson and he handled him. And that says a lot because Will Anderson was the best edge rusher in the 2023 NFL draft, and he handled him pretty handily. And Darnell Wright, he's a big body. He's very strong, got great hands. He's physical, and his feet are pretty good. I think that he'll be really good in the passing game. So I like this first overall pick. It's definitely going to give Justin Fields some opportunity and give him a little bit more time to look down the field and throw the ball.
Yeah, I like the pick too. Looking like right off the bag, some people had Skoronski, right? Yeah, as the number 2. Yeah. Some people had him at the number 1, but some people also had Skoronski playing guard. So I think this guy is more of a true tackle, and I think he immediately comes in and improves that offensive line because it needs help. I think he comes in and is immediately that left tackle. I think he's going to help them a lot. I think he's going to help Justin Fields. He was PFF's 3rd ranked tackle. I think he's solid, man. And like you said, he's, played in the SEC, lots of competition. So, he's kind of, what's the word? He has experience. So I like the pick.
He's seasoned. God damn it. I'm choking on my water. Fuck what? Me. I'm choking on my water.
I was not paying attention.
Holy shit. But yeah, he's seasoned, man. He's been through the ringer and he's battle tested.
Yep.
Holy fuck. I'm dying over here.
I'll take the reins on this next one. Their next pick, Jervon Dexter Sr. He was out of
Florida, I believe. I think he was out of Florida. Yeah.
So these next couple picks, next 3, they're nothing like crazy stand. I mean, it's hard to like differentiate a lot of like defensive linemen. I mean, what else can I say? Like, he's big, he pushes linemen back, he stuffs the run. I think he's going to be a good depth piece for this Chicago Bears defense. You know, they want to get back to form with an elite defense, and you know, they probably think this guy can help them out. I mean, I like the pick. I probably would have honestly liked them to go more offensive linemen, but you know, they went offensive. It would have been weird to, you know, do back-to-back offensive linemen. So I like the pick. And you know, from the tape, he looks like a violent defender. So and he's the 10th. He was the 10th defensive lineman and for PFF. So, you know, that's pretty high upside, I think.
So I like Gervon Dexter. The only thing that I'll say is there is a little bit of inconsistency with his play. Like sometimes you see him like jump off the ball, and then other times he is the last person to react to the ball being snapped. I don't think his get off is very explosive. Sometimes he kind of allows the offensive lineman to come to him instead of being the physical force that he is on other plays. So I think if he, you know, straightens up his consistency, I will like this pick a little bit more, but he is a big body. He's huge, actually. I think he's 6'6", 310 pounds. So that's insane. The only thing is, for how big he is, he has pretty short arms. He has 32-inch arms. And a lot of people who are over like the 6'4", 6'5" mark have about 33-inch arms. That's what you're kind of looking for. But I don't think it's going to be too big of a factor. I think he just needs to have better get off and a little bit more explosiveness first, like an explosive first step. Because you can see him manhandle people because he's very strong, and I think he'll be great in the run game. So, yeah, I like it, but I'm not in love with the pick. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I like this next pick, a little bit more. Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. He looked like Tillman. I don't know why. He's just kind of reminiscent of Peanut Tillman. You know, punching the ball out, tackling defenders. I like this pick a lot. This was PFF's 7th ranked cornerback.
I think he was my 5th, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a pretty big cornerback, 6 foot, 214. That's pretty big. You
know, he's pretty athletic too. I mean, he ran a 4.4 40. Broad jump was almost 11 feet.
Long arms, 33 arm length. So vertical jump 38.5, broad jump 10.5. So yeah, I think he's going to come in and help improve that defense because
I think he will as well. The only concern I have, and I talked about this in my top 5, is I really sometimes worry about the zone coverage with him. But you know, he's physical, he's tough, he's aggressive. You know, you can play him inside or outside. I think that he's got the athleticism, and you see him play the run game pretty decently on some coverage plays, and he reacts really well if the ball is thrown underneath. I think he's got good reaction skills. Zone coverage. That's basically my biggest thing. And other than that, you know, I think that he's a very solid cornerback. He could be top 5 by the end of this. That's where I had him. I think I had him number 5 overall. So I think he's got good instincts. I think he just needs to trust himself a little bit more. But I like the pick overall.
Yeah, I like this pick. I think this was my favorite one behind the Darnell, right? But their next pick, they got South Carolina defensive tackle Zach Pickens, the number 64. A lot of picks in the top 100. So, you know, these guys could be help change it. This is the 9th ranked interior defender according to PFF, their standards. He's 6'4", 305, so you know, decently big. Yeah, I mean, his ranks last year in college weren't bad. They're tied 31st for batted passes, tied 37 for run stops. So I think that's kind of what they're aiming for, what they were looking to accomplish in this draft is stopping the run. But yeah, I like the pick, trying to help that defense. You know, sometimes the best. Well, I don't even know what the hell I was about to say, but yeah, I like the pick.
I like the pick as well. I like this one kind of in the same way that I like Gervon Dexter. I think I like the positional value of this pick a little bit more personally. I don't know what it is, but I think that he's got a better get off. I think that he's got a quicker first step. I think he's got quick hands. You You see him make plays, tipping balls at the line of scrimmage, which is great to see. You want to see that from your defensive linemen if they can't get to the quarterback. But you can also see him get some interior pressure. So I think that you can utilize him, coach him up, and I think he could be a solid rotational, if not starter piece on the defensive line. So I like this pick.
This next pick I actually really like. Roschon Johnson out of Texas. I was secretly hoping he fell to the 49ers. They always take a third round running back, but they actually didn't this year. And he went to the Chicago Bears. I think he's a pretty good running back, honestly. He looked like he was patient. He could follow his blockers. He was the 8th ranked PFF running back. I think he just kind of got outshined by, a generational talent. So yeah. I think the Bears got themselves a nice little running back behind who did they sign? Not Miles Sanders. Was it Jamal Williams?
No, Jamal Williams, I think, went to New Orleans.
They signed somebody. I forget. But, looks like they got a nice little 1-2 punch. So I like this pick a lot.
Okay, look up who they signed while I talk about him a little bit, because I am curious who the Bears did sign, because now it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. But yeah, I do like Roschon Johnson. He's definitely not your breakaway speed running back. He's not going to be super flashy with his 40-yard time. I think. Or his 40-yard dash, excuse me. He ran like a 4.58, almost a 4.6, but he's a bruiser. He's a bell cow. You can utilize him for the short yardage that you need, especially in the goal line. And he's going to push for that extra yard. And, the coaches over at Texas, they had a lot of high praise for him. And he kind of got lost in translation, like you said, with Bijan Robinson being the starter for the Texas Longhorns. But I think that Roschon Johnson is a very serviceable back at the NFL level. I think that he's got great physicality. He's 6 foot 219, so he's around the height and weight that you would expect from an NFL running back. So yeah, I like the pick, and I think that it's great value, especially getting him at pick. What was it? The fourth round pick. Yeah, pick 115.
Yeah. So. To circle back, guys, they did sign Deontay Foreman to a 1-year deal and Travis Homer to a 2-year deal. So honestly, I think this guy can come in and compete for that starting job. I mean, I know Deontay Foreman had a little bit of a, I wouldn't say resurgence, but he started playing really good towards the end of the year last year. So I think it's up for grabs, honestly. Or they're just going to give it, running back by committee, and he's going to get his touches. So I like this pick a lot. And I think that's what they want to do, whether it's running with Justin Fields or running but with their running backs. But I like the pick. Real quick, I just want to give the PFF grades for these last couple picks. I've been slacking on that. Sorry about that.
It's funny. I was actually going to bring that
up. So, for Darnell Wright, we had an average grade. Javon Dexter, average.
They gave it average? Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a little rough.
Tyreek Stevenson, good. Zach Pickens, average. And Roschon Johnson, good. So, yeah. So, kind of just consistently. I mean, they need a lot of players, and they had a lot of picks. So, I think they're doing pretty consistent. But actually, I really like this next pick. I forget his name, the guy who the Bengals drafted, but this guy with Justin Fields, with that arm of his, I think Justin Fields could have some fun with this kid. Yeah. Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati, drafted number 133. He's fast, man.
He's not just fast, he's very athletic. He's very explosive with his testing numbers. I mean, he jumped over 11 feet and he almost had a 40-inch vertical. So that's impressive.
Yeah, I really like this pick. It's just another weapon for Justin Fields. I know they got DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, but I don't, there's not really a speedy deep threat. So I like it. You always need those different kinds of wide receivers, or maybe, the jet sweep kind of stuff. Kind of gadget player, I think, too. But I think it adds another element to this offense, which they are, needing,
Yeah.
and I like the pick a lot. So
I do too. I think that Tyler Scott's a very reliable wide receiver, and he kind of fits the mold as to the other wide receivers in this class. He has a similar body frame. He's a little bit on the lighter side. He's in the 170s, 5'10". Got good speed, not elite speed, but good speed. And he's explosive with his measurables. He can high point a ball. Got great hands. I think that he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in this year's draft. So I like the pick a lot, actually.
Yeah, PFF had him as the 13th ranked wide receiver. So we will see. I like it.
Let me talk about this next one, because this is one of my guys from Oregon. So
and sorry, real quick, and they had it as a good grade.
Okay. So the next pick that they had at 148 was Noah Sewell. So it's crazy because at the beginning of the season for 2022 into the 2023 season, Noah Sewell was projected to be a first round linebacker. Like, he is a beast in the run game, but he is so bad at pass coverage that it tanked his stock. And it almost seems like he regressed a little bit this last year at Oregon. Last year, I think that he would have been fine. I think that he could have made the first 3 rounds easily. Didn't look that bad in coverage. He was serviceable, but he was great against the run. He was good at disguising blitzes. He had a good QB sneak going. So I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. He regressed, and it's sad to say, because I think he was a 5-star recruit coming out of his high school going to Oregon. Him and Justin Flo, I believe, because I was high on both of them when they got to Oregon. And I love watching Noah Sewell. Obviously, his brother Penei Sewell plays for the Detroit Lions, so he's going to be in the division with his brother, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I just didn't see the growth this year from Noah Sewell, which is why I think that he fell so far, because he went from being a first-round buzz to a 5th-round pick. So I think that he's got to improve his coverage skills. But, for his size, he's 246 pounds, 6'1", ran a 4.6, not terrible. Broad jump was it was not even 10. So I just don't think he's the most athletic linebacker, but he plays with a lot of heart.
That's interesting, because according to PFF, they have him as a true freak athlete and runs downhill. And
I think it's more his mentality that makes him a freak, because he plays with physicality. Don't get me wrong. But like, his measurables, if we're just going off of his testing numbers, he's not the most athletic linebacker. But he plays with his hair on fire, bro. He fucking hits harder than anyone.
Yeah, so what they say is he's going to definitely impact on the run game. And like Dane said, he's going to get lost in coverage. So, maybe just put him out in blitz packages, or just if you need to get a stop, sometimes you need that crazy person out in the field that's just going to go out and hit somebody. But they had him as the 9th ranked linebacker for this year's class. And they had it at I'm scrolling up here. They had it as a above average pick. So I think it could, I think it could be a depth piece, special teams for sure. And you never know what you got with sometimes. He could get it together. Terrell Smith out of Minnesota. Not gonna lie, there's in these last 3 picks, I don't think there was a lot of tape on them.
I did not see much. Yeah. I will be honest. Terrell Smith looks like an athletic cornerback. I will say that. Mm-hmm. His broad jump was pretty damn good, 10 feet. Vertical jump, not the highest. It was only 34 inches, but his 40-yard dash was a 4.41, which is good speed. And I know that there are certain plays that I have seen. He can be utilized on blitz packages. He can read the ball underneath pretty well. And he's physical. I just don't think that he had the greatest production at Minnesota from what I have seen.
Yeah, so PFF has him as the 39th ranked cornerback in this draft. Had it as a good grade. So it's just more depth pieces. That's what these last 3 picks kind of seem like. depth pieces, get them in the rotation. This is still a very young team. They kind of gotta find their identity, see what they have. It's gonna be a while, I think, until the Bears are good, or at least playoff contenders. I would give it at least another year, maybe two. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about these last picks. We can mention them.
Yeah, Travis Bell out of Kennesaw State.
Yeah, never heard of him.
You're not going to find much tape, unfortunately. I think that he could be used as a defensive tackle rotational piece. He's definitely going to have to be coached up, I'm sure. And then Kendall Williamson from Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about him. I will be honest. I think that here, let me just read his bio really quick because this is interesting. He was a 4-star recruit who started once in 10 appearances with the Cardinals in 2018. 16 tackles, 2 for loss, 2 pass breakups, and then 1 of 11 games. Oh, and then 9 of 11 games in 2019. 47 tackles, 1 for loss, 1 pass breakup. So it just looks like he hasn't played that much. Maybe that's why he got lost in translation. Because the first year he only played once.
We're still talking about Terrell Smith or Kendall Williamson?
Kendall Williamson. Was there another player that they drafted?
No, sorry. Okay, I got confused.
Yeah, no. So, they can use him at safety. I'm sure I'm sure he's going to be a special teams player first and foremost. But yeah, I did not see much tape on Kendall Williamson.
Yeah. So, pretty. I think their best picks were, the offensive lineman Darnell Wright. I like the first 2 defensive tackles. I like the Tyreek Stevenson pick. I like the Rashawn Johnson pick.
I like Tyler Scott.
I like Tyler Scott. And then, not that I hate the Noah Sewell pick. I just don't know if he's gonna immediately come in and impact the team. I'm sure he will. They'll give him a shot. And I think he'll get some reps here and there. But at first glance, I thought everyone was saying the Bears killed it. The Bears killed it. And I think it was pretty average, pretty decent. A lot of depth pieces. So, I mean, if I had a grade, I would just give it a B.
I would give it a B as well. I'm debating whether or not to give it a B plus because I do like where some of these players are projected to go. And I think that they could fit this scheme pretty well. I don't know if Darnell Wright was the best fit offensive tackle wise, even though he was one of my favorite tackles to watch. But I think Tyreek Stevenson can come in. I think Rashawn Johnson can come in. Tyler Scott can come in. I think Jervon Dexter can come in. So yeah, I'll give it a B as well. A solid B.
Yeah. All right. Next team we have the Detroit Lions. And
yes.
Like I said, at first, everyone was saying the Detroit Lions lost this draft. I think they reached a little bit for sure. But if you think about the more I thought about it, I think it was fine. I don't hate the moves that they did, honestly. And especially for what they got in, days 2 and 3, I think they had a pretty good draft, if I'm being honest.
Their day 2 was spectacular. It was one of my favorite day 2s, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So, Detroit Lions. Oh, sorry. Real quick, guys. I want to give the NFL.com grades for the Bears. They gave them an A-, and for PFF they got a B+. So, we're both a little lower than but like I said, everybody was raving about the Bears and I thought they did okay. But it's all TBD. But the Detroit Lions kind of shocked us and reached a little bit for Jahmyr Gibbs. But
I think they reached a lot of it. I love the player. I think that he'll be a great fit, especially since they got rid of DeAndre Swift. I think that was smart to trade him.
That's the thing. I think so let's be honest. DeAndre Swift has not been healthy his entire tenure with the Detroit Lions. I think he's been hurt every year. So they probably wanted a more healthy running back. And if Jahmyr Gibbs does what DeAndre Swift can do and is cheaper, they don't have to extend DeAndre Swift. They got some picks for DeAndre Swift. And like watching this man's highlight tape, he looks like Alvin Kamara. And I think
he does. I will say that. I think he's a lot faster though. I mean, he runs in the 4.3s, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you can look that up, but I think that's going to be
4.36.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, because I think that's going to be Jared Goff's best friend, if I'm being honest. Sometimes Jared Goff has a tendency to force throws, get the interception. And if he has a security blanket like Jahmyr Gibbs, I think it could do wonders for him. So I actually, even though it, was a reach or whatever, I like the pick. They're going to have that 1-2 punch. David Montgomery is going to be that bruiser. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that, screen games, scat back, third down back. I like the pick a lot.
He kind of reminds me of a Travis Etienne in a way. He's very elusive. He's not your bruising back. He's very agile. He's very good with his footwork. So he's going to make you miss. And he's fast. He's faster than I think almost every running back. I think Devon Achane is the only one who ran a faster 40, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs flying. You don't see many running backs running under a 4.4 in the NFL, because the prototypical size is usually about 5'11", 6 feet, and about 220, 215. And he's a little bit smaller. He's 5'9". He weighs 199 pounds, I think. Let me double check that to make sure that 199. And he's fast. He's going to get the job done. He looked good when he was at Georgia Tech, and then he also looked really good when he was with Alabama. So I project him to do well at the NFL level as well. But yeah, you got a good player. I think that they wanted him anyway. So if you take him a little early, why not? It is a reach, but you get your player.
Plus, Detroit Lions have one of the best offensive lines.
Yes.
And, even if he's not technically a good if he has a good line, that'll make any running back good. So we will see. I like it. This next pick, again, another reach, but all right. So they drafted Jack Campbell at 18, right? And you weren't high on any of the linebackers. I was, I kind of tended to agree with you, and I was like, oh, probably no linebackers in the first round. But I watched the tape, and the Detroit Lions really didn't have an identity on defense last year. They really had no cornerstones besides Aiden Hutchinson on that team, at least in my opinion. I think, what's his name? Jack Campbell. I think he comes in, becomes the captain of that team, is aggressive. I think he's a pretty decent linebacker from what I saw. I do think they probably should have gone a different route, but if that's what they wanted to improve that defense, hey, I think they did it. They have, I think they have cornerstones on every level of that defense now. So I think it helps improve their defense, but I don't know. What do you think?
I like Jack Campbell as a prospect overall. Like, he is a very good linebacker. I still just think that it's a little too early. I think that there were other positions they could have addressed. I think they could have gotten one of the, premium cornerbacks, like with one of their first picks. That's just my opinion. But, I think that he will come in and, like you said, he could come in, be a captain. He's got good athleticism. He's a big dude. He's like 6'5", 249 pounds. Decently athletic in the 40 as well. 4.65 for that size is not bad. And, I think he's one of the more complete linebackers in this draft class. So he's going to offer utilization in both the run defense and the pass defense. So I like the pick. I wish they would have grabbed, a top cornerback, but can't win them all.
Yeah, and he was PFF's number one linebacker. And I think you're number one linebacker. But they gave both of these picks below average, probably because of the reachiness of it. But you know what? They made up for it with day 2, pick number 34. They got Sam Laporta, Not the tight end I wanted them to get because they took Jack Campbell. But honestly, it just kind of seems like they really wanted those two players. And
back-to-back Iowa boys.
Yeah, so they got Sam Laporta. They got Jared Goff some help. And he was a decent tight end. I liked what he saw. He's pretty fast. I think there was a third-ranked tight end in this year's draft.
He's a very physical tight end. He's good after the catch. The only thing is he's not the best route runner. I think that he's fast enough to get it done. 4.59 for a tight end. That's freaking good. But I just really question his route running. It just does not look pretty at all. But hey, once he gets the ball, he is an absolute threat. He can drag defenders. He kind of reminds me of maybe a little bit like George Kittle, just without the refined route running. He's a good blocker. He's not amazing. I think George Kittle might beat him in that aspect as well. George Kittle's a very excellent blocker. But yeah, the run after the catch ability and yards after contact kind of reminds me of George Kittle because he can keep his feet turning and, he can get some decent yardage after first contact. So I like him in that aspect. I think that you can utilize him in the pass game, the run game, whatever you want to do. So I like the pick.
I like it a lot. I like this next pick even more. Brian Branch, Alabama, our top safety, right? Correct. Our top safety. And yes. I believe PFF's number one safety. So now the Lions are starting to form an identity. They have Aiden Hutchinson. They have Jack Campbell. They have what's this man's name? Deion Branch. Brian Branch. And then who? They have somebody else. Don't they have another defender on that team?
I mean, I like Rodrigo, who stepped up last year as their linebacker. They got rid of Jeff Okudah. I'm pretty sure that there's someone on the defensive line that I think we're missing out on.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody, but they got cornerstones, hopefully, on every level of that defense now. And, Brian Branch was the number one safety in this year's class or in this year's draft. He's a hard hitter. Oh, man, he's a hard hitter. He's ball hawk, man. I like this pick a lot. And it's just surprising that they got him with pick number 45.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Branch was my number one safety for a reason. You see the physicality. You see how quickly he's able to process and diagnose plays before the ball is even thrown. He just knows how to position himself. He knows where the ball's going to go. He trusts his instincts. He's got all the intangibles that you need. The only thing that he doesn't have, which is why I think that he fell this far to pick 45, is just his athleticism. He didn't test as well as people had hoped. He almost ran a 4.6 40. Broad jump was pretty good, but his vertical wasn't great. It was only 34 inches. So I think that that's kind of what tanked his stock a little bit, was his athleticism score.
Yeah.
But, the production's there. You see it on tape. You see what he did at Alabama, and it is far better than almost any safety I'd seen in this class. So I like Brian Branch.
Yeah, I thought his coverage skills were pretty good from what I saw.
Oh, also, yeah, I think that they're great. That they're great. He's just not the fastest.
Yeah, so hopefully they can build off this because they had like the 30th ranked defense last year. Hopefully these players can help improve them. PFF had them graded Sam Laporta as an average grade, and they had Brian Branch as elite. This next pick, I really like.
I like it too.
They drafted Hendon Hooker with the 68th pick. And let's be honest. Was Goff ever the true answer? No, but I think he was their answer for this year. I think he was maybe next year. Because Hendon Hooker was looked at as a project, if I'm not mistaken. Needed a little bit of time. But he's got a big arm. He's got athletic ability. And this team on the offensive side of the ball has weapons for this guy, this young guy to throw to when he finally takes the reins. What they got him in the third round? Is that the third round?
I will tell you. I think it was
second round.
No, it was round 3. Yeah, they got him with their second pick.
So, if he ends up being their guy, they're not going to have to. He's going to be cheaper than Jared Goff.
Well, yeah, and I like Hendon Hooker. I think the reason why he fell as far, because he had some first round buzz going into the draft. The only thing that tanked his stock a little bit is his ACL injury, kind of that, on top of Tennessee isn't really known for running an NFL style offense over there. It's very one look passes, to say the least. It's, you kind of know where you're going with the ball. But you saw the deep ball with him. You saw the explosiveness. You saw him being able to scramble, utilize his legs. He's a dual threat quarterback. I think that he can be great at the NFL level. And I think that, having Jared Goff there to kind of mentor him, I don't think Jared Goff's the best quarterback to possibly be a mentor, but he's made it to the Super Bowl. He's had good production. He's an above average quarterback, in my opinion. In some games he looks like one of the worst, but he's been through the ringer. He knows how the NFL works. I think that he can do a good job coaching up Hendon Hooker. So I like the pick overall, especially for the future of this franchise. Getting a possible first rounder in the third round is always a win in my book.
Yep. I like it. I like this pick. These next 3 picks, actually, I did see some tape on Broderick Martin, which is their next pick at number 96. Looks pretty decent. He's a D lineman. I really don't have too much to say. He's the 14th ranked tackle or interior defender on PFF. 6'5", 330. Yeah, he's a big boy. He's definitely going to bolster up that D line. Again, this is just like depth pieces.
Yeah, he'll be a good rotational piece. I think that he has the ability to develop for sure.
Yeah. And then, actually, so I don't know if you want to go into more on Broderick Martin.
Sure.
Sorry.
We can go into more.
I mean, we it's up to you.
I don't have too much more to say. I think that he's going to be utilized with his size in the run game. He's a big dude, 6'5", 330. He's going to be able to block up some holes, especially on the interior side. So I don't have too much else to say. It's a developmental piece. So it'll be good rotation, and I think that it'll be good overall. So we'll see if he can earn a starting role within the next year or so.
This next pick literally was no tape on him. You would have to go to the school archives because I've never even heard of William and Mary. But they picked up offensive guard out of William and Mary named Colby Swordsdale with the number 152 pick. And this last pick I actually really like. North Carolina wide receiver Antoine Green. It's funny because rewatching some of the highlights, I forgot about this dude because North Carolina played Notre Dame and he kept burning Notre Dame's defense before they figured it out. And this guy looks pretty decent. I think he could be another good wide receiver for this already pretty good wide receiver room. So I like this pick, especially with their last pick. So
I do as well. He's got 4.4 speed. He's not the most explosive in the vertical jump or the broad jump, but he's a big body, 6'2". He can put a little bit more on his frame as well, and I think that he would still run in the 4.4s. He'll be a good rotational piece. I think that it's a solid pick, especially for their last pick in the draft.
I agree. So Hendon Hooker, they gave a good for PFF. Broderick Martin, below average. Colby Swordsdale, below average. And Antoine Green, average. And PFF gave them a B+ grade, and NFL.com gave them a C+. For me, I would have to probably go B-.
That's
just because,
where I'm at too, son of a bitch. I'm at B-.
I just think a little bit of a reach with maybe not the Jahmyr Gibbs. I actually am liking the Jahmyr Gibbs pick a lot more, but definitely the what's his name? Jack Campbell?
Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Campbell pick. I think they could have
Jack and Dan Campbell.
Direction. Yeah, and probably gotten him in the later second, or traded up to get him. But, I still think they got a lot of players that can immediately contribute to this team. And, also got potentially their quarterback of the future.
Yeah, I think if that we were grading this draft solely on day two, they would have had an A+ in my opinion. Getting Brian Branch, getting Hendon Hooker, that's phenomenal, and Sam Laporta. That's great positional value for all the picks. So unfortunately, it's kind of the reaches for me. I like you said, I enjoy Jahmyr Gibbs as well, but the Jack Campbell one, and then their day three wasn't the most solid in my opinion. But Antoine Green, I think, was the best pick out of their last day, in my opinion, and it was their very last pick. So we'll see. The Lions don't have too many holes to fill on offense. They have a lot to fill on defense. So we'll see how the defensive pieces come and play a factor.
All right. Man, oh man. It took me so long to watch
Green Bay.
Yeah, Jesus. They had how many freaking picks did they have? 14?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 picks.
Jesus Christ. They got a lot of interesting players. And yeah, I mean, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I love their first 4 picks. I think they might have reached on their first pick a little bit, in my opinion. I wasn't okay. So for pick number 1, or their first round pick at pick 13 was Lucas Van Ness. Huge 6'5", 272 pound, very athletic edge out of Iowa. For me, it's just the fact that I only saw him use power rush moves. I think if he can develop a pass rushing tool set, utilize his hands a little bit more than just being a bully and trying to bull rush everything, I think that he'll develop into a great edge because he's got all the physical intangibles that you need. I think it's a little bit of a reach because I don't think the production was as good as some of the other edges that you could have taken at this spot. That's just my opinion. I think you could have addressed other positions, but they kind of addressed them with how many picks they had. So overall, I like the pick. I think it's a good pick. I know PFF's probably going to be a lot higher on Lucas Van Ness than I am. I'm not in love with the pick, but I like it.
Yeah, they gave it an average grade. He was their 4th ranked.
Ooh,
he was their 4th ranked edge. But I mean, the top 2 edges were taken already at this point, and they were probably just willing to take whatever they had at that point.
I would have taken Nolan Smith over him.
Yeah, I probably would have as well. Just that Georgia pedigree, but they probably were just in love with this dude. But I like it. I feel like the defense struggled a little bit, if I remember correctly. We thought they were going to be special, but they really weren't. So, and Jordan Love is a new starting quarterback, and sometimes having a defense to pick up your mistakes is very helpful. So yeah. So hopefully they can bolster up that pass rush with Lucas Van Ness. Their next pick I like a lot. I
love Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed that he didn't drop. I would know the 49ers were looking for a tight end, but he went to the stupid Packers. Sorry, Zach. But Oregon State tight end Luke Musgrave at number 42. Solid tight end. Like we said a couple episodes ago, or if you have been paying attention, this is a very deep tight end class. He's actually the 5th ranked PFF tight end. And they gave this grade a good, so pretty interesting. But I like it. I mean, they lost Tunyon, so they definitely replaced him. And I think he's a pretty good tight end. I think he was able to catch the ball, block.
I'll say this. I love Luke Musgrave. I don't think the 40 time accurately represents how his playing speed is. I think he plays a lot faster than his 40 time indicates. The unfortunate thing with Luke is I think he only played 1 or 2 games this last year because of injury. So he dealt with injury, but when he gets the ball, he's great. He's always open. He's fast. You can use him in the vertical game. He can block. He's not the best blocker, but he can block better than Dalton Kincaid. And he's as fast as Dalton Kincaid. But I think that he's more of like a big wide receiver in a way, kind of like a Dalton Kincaid. But I like I like his yak yards, man. Also, I don't know, man. Luke Musgrave is a beast. I loved watching him. I really did. So yeah, solid pick for me.
Yep. They PFF graded it as average.
I like it a lot more than PFF then.
Oh no, sorry. They graded it as a good. The Packers' next pick was Jaden Reed, which I really like this pick. PFF graded it as an average, and this is a speedy wide receiver, man. I was just watching his tape and imagining him paired up with what's the
Christian Watson?
Christian Watson, who's already a fast as hell wide receiver. Put him paired up with another pretty fast wide receiver. I think is going to be fun to watch. I think they might have found themselves another wide receiver because I'm not really sold on Romeo Dobbs as a, maybe he's the third on that team, but I don't know. He kind of just fell off after like 2 games and really didn't do much. We'll see. But I like what this kid showed me. I like it.
I like it as well. I think that you can utilize him vertically. He is not the best high jumper, but he has really good hands, in my opinion. I think that even though his vertical might not be the best, I think that he gives his effort and he's fast. He's not like an elite burner, but I think that he's one of those players that's like super shifty, so he looks faster than he is. He still ran in the 4.4s, which is great. That's what you want to see. And he's physical. He high points the ball to the best of his ability. He puts himself in good positions, and he can contort his body to make kind of acrobatic catches, which is what I love to watch or love to see from Jaden Reed. I like the pick.
I also like this next pick a lot. Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State with the number 78 pick.
Doubling down on tight ends.
Yeah, I like it, man. He was their 6th ranked, or he was PFF's 6th ranked tight end. So they got the 5th and 6th tight ends according to PFF. I like this. I mean, he went to a smaller school.
Yeah, so, he went to an FCS school, so lesser competition, but he dominated. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, he dominated this competition.
He dominated. He's a big dude. I mean, he's a tight end, and I think pairing him with Luke Musgrave is just going to help Jordan Love out, help this offense out. It's like a cheat code when you have multiple tight ends out there.
Zach, didn't you say that you didn't want tight ends? They draft 2.
And they drafted 0 offensive linemen. So no, I like this pick a lot. And PFF does too. They gave it a very good.
All right. Let's move on because we have a lot. All right. Yeah. With their next pick, they went Auburn linebacker Colby Wooden. He's an outside linebacker. You're going to use him on the edge. 6'4", 273, big dude. I will say that I liked Derek Hall a lot more than I liked Colby Wooden, but I think Colby Wooden can be utilized as a good rotational piece. I think that he's going to add to this defense. I think that he's a little bit more of a project player, in my opinion, but he's physical. He's got huge hands, dude. He's got like... I think they're almost 11-inch hands. And, he's got good arm length, so he can separate himself from blockers. And you can utilize him in the middle. You can move him along the different positions on the defensive line. You can put him at tackle. You can put him on the edge. And he gets after the ball carrier. So, I like it. I'm not enthralled or in love with it, but I think that he's good.
Yeah, another... rotational piece. Gave it a good grade. Next pick, they took Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford. Really, I mean, they just needed to add another quarterback. I mean, they lost Aaron Rodgers, moved up Jordan Love, and I actually liked what he could do. He's pretty athletic, could throw the ball on the run, good in space. So, I mean, I think that's similar play styles to Jordan Love. So, we'll see if he ever sees the field. But I like it. Smart to always back up your starting quarterback. The next pick, Virginia wide receiver Dontavian Wicks. Another pretty speedy wide receiver. I mean, all wide receivers should be fast. Right?
I don't think he's that fast, honestly. I disagree. I don't think he's that quick. If I'm not mistaken, he did not even run in the 4.5s. I think he ran in the 4.6s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. You might be right.
I'm trying to find. He's not even on.
But from what I saw on his tape, here, let me look it up, because from what I saw, he's more of like, I don't know. I didn't think he was that fast. I thought he was explosive. I think he can jump really high. Yeah, let me look him up really quick. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, he ran a 4.6, 10 yard split, 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I just clicked on his name. Maybe I was, man, that's the thing. I watched so much tape today. It was like, took me like 2 freaking hours. And I honestly barely remember this player. But another weapon for Jordan Love. So woohoo.
Yeah, I think he plays faster than he is. I still don't think that he's like an elite burner. Like, I think that he just positions himself well. And I think for a bigger body receiver, he's not as small as these other guys. He's 6'1", 206. I think he's a pretty decent route runner. And yeah, I like it. Add depth to the wide receiver room, get some good rotational pieces in there.
This next pick, I like a lot more.
Yes.
Carl Brooks out of Bowling Green.
I like this pick actually a lot.
Yeah, man. I love watching this guy when I watched him for the 10 minutes I watched him for. Powerful, pushes offensive lineman back. I was watching a lot of his Senior Bowl highlights, and he was just pushing offensive linemen back. So I like it. I mean, again, he's going to rotate on that D line, but they need it. So I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I think he had 68 pressures last year. And, Bowling Green isn't like a top tier school for producing NFL talent, but like you already mentioned in the Senior Bowl, he kind of shined a little bit. He's quick. I think he's got good get off. He's a good tracker of the ball. He can track down the quarterback pretty easily. I think he's quicker than he may test. I don't even know if he tested. I don't think he tested. But, he's got good get off. He's very physical. He can bully people around. I think he's going to be utilized in the, pass rush set. So I think it's a good rotational piece to have. I think he can get after the quarterback for sure. I like the pick a lot, especially in the 6th round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And PFF gave the Colby Wooden a good, Sean Clifford below average, and Dontavian Wicks an average, and Carl Brooks good. This next pick, not going to talk a lot about, but they signed a kicker, Anders Carlson. Nice. But this next pick,
this I think was one of their steals.
I think this, I think this is a diamond in the rough. If I'm being completely honest,
agreed.
One has one of the coolest names I've ever heard, Harrington Valentine. What a badass fucking name. Let me just say. All right. Also, this guy's a baller, dude. He's a cornerback out of Kentucky. I think they found a diamond in the rough, if I'm being honest.
I think so too. I don't think he should have been here in the 7th round. I think he should have gone 4th round, which may be a little high, possibly 5th round, but getting him in the 7th round is an absolute steal.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can keep going. He's 6 foot, 193. He's very athletic. He almost had a 40-inch vertical. Broad jump was almost 11 feet. He's very physical at the point of attack. He's got pretty good hand usage. He's good at breaking up passes. I don't know what his production was when it comes to interceptions, but he's definitely good at breaking up passes. And he seems to have like a nose for downhill play style. Like, he knows when the ball's coming underneath and he kind of attacks the ball, which is what I love to see. He's a go-getter, he's an attacker, and he's not afraid to get physical. So I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I love this pick. This is my favorite pick. My favorite late round pick. But their next pick, Lou Nichols out of Central Michigan. Pretty solid running back from what I saw. He's kind of in between Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon's kind of playing style. He can hit people. He's a little faster than AJ Dillon, I think. There's not much information on him on PFF.
I'll be honest, I didn't see much tape on him. I will be honest. I know that he's about 5'10", 220, so he's got good size. I mean, he's not the tallest, but you don't want your running backs to be over 6 feet unless you're Derrick Henry. But he's got the 220, which is what you like to see. He can make cutbacks. He seems pretty physical. I think he's an underrated running back, but I don't think that he's like top tier. So I like the positional value. Getting him in the 7th round, I think that that's good value.
The next pick, Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State, safety. I mean, this is according to this is PFF's number 5th ranked safety. So I mean, just according to that standard, that's a freaking steal.
I was not as high, but I did like his tape.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch tape on him. I forgot to, but they didn't even grade it on their thing. So I'm just gonna say, awesome depth.
Yeah, I think that this is good depth. He's definitely going to be utilized more so in special teams, I think, at this point. But man, he's one of these players who I think can get off blocks pretty well. He's a lot better at the run, I think, than he's given credit for. He's good in pass coverage. He's got sticky hands. He's not going to drop the ball too terribly much, but I don't know. I've seen some tape on him. He likes to track the ball down. I haven't seen a ton, but he's definitely good at forcing fumbles. I've seen him punch out balls from what I've seen on his tape. So he likes to cause turnovers, and he's got decent production. So I like him.
And with the Packers' last pick, they picked a wide receiver out of Charlotte, Grant Dubois.
I did not see tape on this guy. So yes, good rotational piece.
Special teamer. Overall, PFF graded them a B+. NFL.com graded them an A-. I am more leaning towards the B+. I don't know why. I love their first 4 picks for sure. And then I really love the Carrington Valentine pick and the Carl Brooks pick. I just almost, if I gave them an A, I feel like it's because of how many players they drafted.
Right.
And I'm going to give them a B+. I don't know.
I'm going to give them a solid B. I'm a little bit lower, mostly because I'm not as high on Lucas Van Ness as a lot of people are. I don't know what it is. I just don't think that he's that good of an edge rusher at this point in time. And with picking him at number 13, I think that Nolan Smith would have been a better pick. That's just my opinion. This is where I project these players. I could totally be wrong. I probably will be. But, I like the Luke Musgrave. I like Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. Then it was kind of a little bit. And, I think it was solid. I think it was rock solid. They addressed a lot of positions of need and they drafted well. It's a solid pick. It's a solid B, but nothing like really put me over the top or it was like, holy fuck, they got that player. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, solid B for me.
All right.
All right, let's power through this.
Well, it's going to be easy because they had about 6 picks. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 picks. So this should be pretty easy. But the Minnesota Vikings, they drafted Jordan Addison out of USC, which, some people had him as the number 1 wide receiver. I love this pick. Pairing him next to Justin Jefferson.
I think Justin Jefferson is the perfect person to teach Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, a great route runner. Justin Jefferson, great route runner. Both got great hands. I'll let you take it away. Sorry, I just wanted to interject.
No, you're good. PFF had Jordan Addison as the number 2 wide receiver. Ranked it as a good signing. But I like this pick a lot. I think he instantly impacts that offense, makes them deadly, especially with Kevin O'Connell at the helm. I love this pick. Ready to move on.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Also, I think that it's great. I think it's a great fit.
All right,
Double dipping at USC.
Yeah, double dipping at USC and LSU. But USC Mekhi Blackman, I like this pick. I was a little jealous, to be honest, watching the tape. He's a cornerback. Yeah,
no. He is a CB. He is a cornerback.
Yeah, so cornerback. He looks violent, man. He looks very violent. I was pretty jealous watching this tape. They graded it at an average, but I mean, I'll let you take it away.
I liked watching Mekhi Blackman. He had a lot of pass breakups this year. I want to say that he had 12 passes blocked. Yeah, 66 tackles around there and 14 starts. He's a very productive cornerback, and USC definitely doesn't get enough credit because their defense wasn't good last year. And I think that some of these players kind of got overshadowed by other schools, but I think Mekhi Blackman is a very serviceable defensive back. I think you could use him at safety as well. 5'11", 178. He's a little bit rangy. I think he could put on maybe a little bit more mass, maybe go up to like 185, I think would be a good weight for him. Still ran in the 4.4s, 36-inch vertical. Broad was 10 foot, 5 inches. He's got good measurables. He's pretty athletic. He's not like a standout with his athleticism, but he had good production. And like you said, he was violent. He was physical. I like him. I like the pick.
The next pick out of LSU picked up Jay Ward, another cornerback. I like this pick a lot too. Same thing with Blackman. Looks violent. Looks like he wants to hit people. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not as high on Jay Ward. For me personally, from what I saw, it was. I feel like he gets lost looking at the quarterback a little bit sometimes and kind of loses track of his coverage. I think that he's maybe one step slow at the collegiate level, which kind of concerns me about transitioning into the NFL, which is a faster paced game. I think that he's able to attack and play off blocks and make tackles. I think that he has no hesitation when it's in front of him and he's like going towards the ball carrier. I think that he's physical in that aspect. I think that he's great in the run game for playing a cornerback. So I like him in that regard. I just think that his coverage skills could be improved a little bit personally.
Right on. Their next pick, like we said, double dipped out of LSU. They picked Jacqueline. I don't know how you say that. Jaquelin Roy out of LSU, and I liked it. He looked. It's hard to freaking differentiate, but they have him at the 12th ranked interior defender. He's a big boy, run stopper. He's very physical. I mean, they had a very terrible defense last year as well. I think they had the worst defense. So definitely needed some pieces added. So I like it.
Yeah, I think Jaquelin Roy is actually very underrated. He is a big body, 6'3", 305. He bench pressed 30 reps, which is great. You want to see the strength up there. Dude, I think that he's good at using his hands and physically moving linemen out of the way. I think that the strength really shows. He's got heavy hands. I think that he was very underrated at LSU. I like the pick a lot, even though his athleticism doesn't show it. I think his production at LSU was great, especially in the run game, and he can get after the quarterback. I think that that's an underrated aspect of his game. I think that he can actually rush the passer at a pretty substantial rate.
Right on. These last picks. Well, actually, I watched some tape on Jaron Hall, their BYU quarterback, and funny, I actually saw this guy play live because I went to the Notre Dame BYU game. But a little shifty running quarterback, can throw on the move. I don't really think he's.
It's good to have a backup.
Yeah, and I want to say I don't know what the future is for Kirk Cousins. But if they don't re-sign him, I really don't see them handing over the reins to Jaron Hall. I'm sorry, but I just cannot see that. So But and then with their last pick, UAB running back Dwayne McBride.
I like this pick a lot. I really like Dwayne McBride. I think he is a criminally underrated running back in this year's draft. I really do. I think he's athletic. I think that, he's got the perfect height, 5'10", so he's smaller, but he's 209. I think maybe if he was at the 215, he'd be perfect. But yeah, dude, I think his production in the college football or in the collegiate level was fucking great.
He rushed for 1,700 yards last year.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast.
He had a really good last year.
Yeah, he's not the fastest, but dude, he's hard to bring down. He's shifty. He can bulldoze you if he wants. You can utilize him in the pass game too, in the screen game. So I like this pick a lot. And getting him in the 7th round, I think, is a steal. I really like Dwayne McBride.
Yeah, especially the future of Dalvin Cook is unknown. So I mean, looking at this guy, he had a 94.1 PFF grade last year. Rushed for 1,700 yards, had 19 touchdowns. So, and his superlatives are pretty awesome. Like yards after contact, he's 3rd. Yards, missed the tackles, he's 7th. Missed tackle for attempts, 10-19, or tie for 19th. Zone attempts, 12th. Carries of 15 plus yards, he's 4th. So
yeah, dude, he's a beast.
Wow.
He's a beast. The only reason I think that he fell down this far is he does have a little bit of a fumbling issue.
That's
a huge reason why some teams are hesitant to draft players, is if they have dropping issues, fumbling issues, inconsistencies in those aspects. But when you put on his tape, dude, I'm telling you, he's criminally underrated. I mean, he's at University of Alabama, Birmingham, not the greatest competition, but from what you see on tape, it can translate into the NFL. I've seen it with Austin Eckler, fucking no-name school, undrafted free agent, turns into our first string running back. And I'm not comparing him to Austin Eckler, by the way. I think that he's his own style of running back. I think he's a more physical, bruising running back who's a little bit shiftier. So
right on. I'm gonna have to dive a little bit more into him if I ever get the chance to. But if NFL.com gave them an A-, and I believe PFF gave them a B+, but let me just. Oh no, they gave them a B-. I'm kind of right in the middle. I think a B. I like the Jordan Addison pick. I like getting the defenders. So yeah, I'll give it a B. Right in the middle.
I'm deciding it's either a B+ or an A- for me. The only reason it would drop to a B+ is I'm not entirely sure about Jaren Hall. I like that they addressed quarterback, getting a 2nd string quarterback or like a rotational piece, a backup that's required. Jay Ward, I'm not like the hugest on, but I love Jaquelin Roy. I think that he was underrated, and I love Dwayne McBride. I think those are great values at where they got drafted. And I like Jordan Addison, where he fits into this scheme, and Mekhi Blackman. I'm going to go B+. I'm going to go B+.
All right.
I like it a lot.
All right. So now that we've finished, where would you rank them in the division? How is these drafts ranked in this division of the NFC North?
Oh man. So I definitely think Detroit has my last. Personally.
Yeah, I would. I almost want to say the Bears, though. Look at the Bears one more time.
What did I give the Bears again?
We both gave them solid Bs.
B? Yeah.
Yeah, and we also both gave the Lions B-. We gave every team a B in this draft or in this division,
except Minnesota. I gave them a B+, right?
Yes. So, just to reiterate, I gave the Bears a B. You gave the Bears a B. Lions, we both gave B-. Packers, I gave a B+. You gave a B. Vikings, I gave a B, and you gave them a B plus.
So we just flip flopped our Green Bay and Minnesota. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Detroit having my last. I like. It's tough because I do like some of the players more that Detroit got. They just fucking reached.
Yeah, I think even though I'm giving them a B minus, which is technically a lower grade than the Bears, I think I like the players they got more. Like the Jahmyr Gibbs, I think does more for the Lions than if you put that player on the Bears. I don't know. So for me, I'm just gonna go Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers.
I'm gonna go Detroit, Bears, Packers, Vikings.
You said Detroit?
Yep, Detroit. I'm going to keep them in last, unfortunately. Then Chicago, Green Bay, and then Minnesota. Actually, like, even though
Minnesota was your number one?
Yeah, even though Minnesota had like the least amount of picks, I like the fits the most, in my opinion. And then I don't know. There were just some players that I had higher grades on than, PFF or NFLnetwork.com, whatever the fuck. I really like some of the players. So yeah, guys, that is going to wrap it up. A longer episode today. This is our AFC and NFC North completed by this point. We just completed the NFC North. We're going to be going into what division, Jake? You want to go AFC East next?
Yeah, we'll probably do the East next.
All right, so guys, stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't already, check out our AFC North video after listening to this one. If you didn't listen to it before, guys, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our Instagram, Cannonballs with the Z_podcast. Jake, you have anything to add?
No, this is fun. Just makes me want for the season to start already. Honestly, actually, the schedule is going to be releasing soon, so that's what I'm really excited for. But hopefully we can get all this stuff done, and you guys can go watch your team's drafted players, highlights. But if you're still here, thank you for listening. And as always, peace.